Before the fight, her kiss scorched him, but her whisper after shattered his soul. The night was heavy with smoke and silence. The human camp waited on the edge of war. Men and women sat with their weapons close, staring into the dark sky. Sound of machines hung low, ready for the fight, and in the middle of it stood Daniel, the soldier who had already seen too many battles. His armor was scarred, his face pale from lack of sleep. He checked his rifle, tightened the strap on his arm, and tried to steady his breath. Everyone knew tomorrow might be their last day, but Daniel felt something worse than death pressing on his chest. It was the unknown, a whisper of fate that he could not escape. From the shadows, a figure appeared. It was Nyara, the alien woman, half enemy, half ally. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the firelight, her steps soft like water on stone. She moved closer to him, even though others looked away, pretending not to see. No one trusted her fully, but no one dared to stop her. Daniel froze as she stood before him. Her presence carried both danger and comfort. She reached up slowly, her hand brushing his cheek as if she had the right to touch him. Daniel wanted to pull away, but he couldn't. There was something in her gaze, sharp and soft at the same time. Then, without a word, she leaned in and kissed him. The heat of it burned like fire across his lips. It was not gentle, not soft. It was desperate. A kiss that felt like both love and warning. It left him shaken, more than any battle could. And then came her whisper, low against his ear, words that froze. A fire inside him. Forgive me. For what I'll do after. Daniel's heart pounded. What did she mean? Was she about to betray him? Or was she about to save him in some twisted way? Her face gave nothing away. She turned and walked into the shadows before he could speak, leaving him with only the taste of fire and the chill of her words. The night stretched long, but Daniel could not sleep. He kept hearing her whisper again and again. Every soldier prepared for the dawn fight, but he was preparing for something else. The unknown role Nyara would play. He remembered the way her hand had trembled as it touched his cheek. That was no lie, he thought, but the whisper was a knife. At sunrise, the ground shook. The alien army had come, dark figures filling the horizon, their banners high and their machines roaring like thunder. Humans shouted, weapons raised, and the battle began with a scream of fire and steel. Daniel charged forward, his rifle in his hand, but even as bullets flew and blades clashed, his mind burned with one thought. What will she do? Every time he struck down an enemy, he looked for her. Every explosion, every cry, he searched the field, and when he finally saw her, standing tall among her kind, his blood turned to ice. She was on their side, her eyes locked with his across the chaos. And for a second, he thought he saw sorrow in them. But then she turned away, giving orders to her warriors. It looked like betrayal. It felt like betrayal. And the kiss, the whisper, they now twisted inside him like poison. The battle raged. On, Daniel fought harder, fueled by rage and confusion. Was she his enemy after all? Had the kiss been nothing more than a cruel trick? The soldiers around him fell, the air filled with smoke and fire. But all he could hear was her whisper echoing in his skull. Forgive me. For what I'll do after. The hook tightened around his heart. Whatever came next, Daniel knew. Her words would decide his fate, and perhaps the fate of all humanity. The battlefield burned like a living nightmare. Smoke rose high into the sky. Black clouds swallowing the light of the sun. Explosions shook the earth. Soldiers screamed, and the roar of alien machines drowned out every thought. Daniel ran forward. Through the fire, his weapon heavy in his hands, his breath ragged inside his helmet. But his eyes were not searching for victory. They were searching for her, Nyara, the alien woman who kissed him before the fight, the one who whispered the words. That now haunted him. Forgive me. For what I'll do after. Those words carved into his mind like steel. Every gunshot, every cry, every drop of blood seemed to carry their echo. And when Daniel finally saw her, standing tall among her kind, leading them against his people, his heart nearly stopped. Her silver eyes cut through the smoke, locking onto his for a single frozen moment. He wanted to scream, to demand an answer, but then she turned, her voice sharp as she commanded her warriors forward. They obeyed her without question. Her betrayal was not hidden. It was open, bold, clear for the world to see. Daniel's chest burned hotter than the fire around him. Had the kiss been a lie? Had her whisper been nothing more than a cruel trap? Rage filled him, but rage did not blind him. He fought harder, his rifle spitting fire, his blade cutting through the chaos. Every strike was fueled by the image of her turning her back on him. Every breath was poisoned with her whisper. And yet, something did not feel right. She could have killed him, he realized, when she was so close, when she kissed him, when she whispered. If she was truly their enemy, why not end him then? The battle pressed on. Humans pushed forward with fire and steel. Aliens countered with machines and strange weapons that crackled with blue light. The earth split with the weight of their war. And still Daniel searched for her. Every time he saw her, she was in the heart of the enemy lines, never striking at him directly. It was as if she fought to keep him alive, not destroy him. That thought shook him more than any weapon. Could betrayal and protection live side by side? Could her whisper have been not a warning of treachery, but of sacrifice? The battlefield shifted. Explosions tore through the ground, separating soldiers into smaller groups. Daniel found himself cornered with only 3 of his men, surrounded by alien machines. The soldiers fought with everything they had, but the enemy closed in like wolves. A blade of blue energy swung toward Daniel, but before it struck, another weapon flashed. The alien warrior fell, cut down by someone from behind. Daniel spun, rifle raised, and froze. It was her, Lyara. Her silver eyes glowed in the firelight, her face unreadable. She moved like a storm, striking down her own kind, shielding Daniel and his men. The humans stared in shock, unable to believe what they saw. Was this betrayal of her people, or betrayal of his? Daniel's chest tightened, her whisper now screamed in his memory. Forgive me for what I'll do after. What did it mean? Why save him now, if she planned to destroy him later? Every move she made deepened the mystery. Was she his savior, his enemy, or both? The soldiers didn't wait for answers. One of Daniel's men raised his weapon at her, shouting, "She's the enemy! Kill her!" Daniel's hand shot out, pushing the rifle down. "Not yet," he growled. Confusion burned in his voice, but stronger still was the fire of instinct. Something inside him told him she was not here to kill them. Not yet. The battle surged again, tearing them apart. Lyara vanished into the smoke as quickly as she had appeared. Daniel fought on, his heart torn between rage and hope. Every bullet he fired felt heavier, every scream louder, because now he knew. True war was not only against the aliens, it was against the truth of her whisper. Night fell on the battlefield. The ground was painted with fire and blood. The humans had survived the day, but victory was far away. Daniel stood among the wounded and the dead, his armor cracked, his body broken, and in the silence after the storm, he heard her voice again. Not with his ears, but in his mind, her whisper, repeating like a curse, "Forgive me for what I'll do after." He closed his eyes. The kiss still burned on his lips. The whisper still chilled his soul, and somewhere in the dark, he knew. The real betrayal had not yet begun. The night after the battle was heavy with silence. Smoke still lingered in the broken sky, and the ground still burned from the fire of war. Daniel sat alone on the edge of the ruined camp, his helmet beside him, his face pale in the moonlight. The kiss still burned on his lips, the whisper still echoed in his mind. Her words would not leave him. forgive me. For what I'll do after. Every soldier who passed gave him strange looks. They saw his silence, his distance, and they whispered among themselves. Was their commander broken? Was his mind still on the alien woman who betrayed them? Daniel ignored them. He had no answers even for himself. All he knew was that Liara had spared his life again and again, even when she could have ended it. She fought against her people, but she also led them. She was both traitor and leader, enemy and protector, and the question that burned Daniel from inside was this: why? The night grew darker. The wounded cried in their tents, and Daniel's heart twisted as he remembered the moment when she cut down her own kind to save him. No soldier in his unit believed it. To them she was still the enemy. To him she was something else, something dangerous, something unknown. Suddenly, a shadow moved near the edge of the ruined camp. Daniel's instincts sharpened. His hand reached for his weapon, but before he could fire, a soft voice whispered, "Don't shoot." It was her, Liara. She stepped from the shadows, her silver eyes glowing in the moonlight. Her face was calm, but her hands trembled slightly, as if she carried a weight even heavier than war. Daniel rose to his feet, weapon raised, anger boiling inside him. "You should be dead," he said coldly. "You led them against us, and then you saved me. Tell me why." Lyra's lips parted, and for the first time, Daniel saw pain in her face. "I had no choice," she whispered. Her voice was low, almost shaking. "You think I fight for them, Daniel, but I fight against something far worse. Her." Words struck him like a blade. Worse than her people? Worse than this war? What are you talking about? Daniel demanded. He kept his weapon raised, but his heart leaned toward her words, because something inside him wanted to believe. Liara took a slow breath, her eyes never leaving his. "There is a plan," she said, "a plan that goes beyond this battlefield, beyond this war, beyond even me and you." Daniel frowned. "A plan? Explain." Her gaze fell to the ground, and her voice dropped to a whisper. "They will use you, Daniel. They will use all of you. Humans are not their only enemies. You are their tools." His stomach twisted. Her words were poison, yet they rang with truth. "What do you mean, tools?" he asked sharply. Liara stepped closer, lowering her voice. "My people, the High Command, they never wanted peace with you. This war was never about land or resources. It is about something buried deep inside your kind." She paused, her eyes searching his face. "You do not even know what you carry, do you?" Daniel's heart pounded. "What we carry? We're just men and women fighting to survive." Liara shook her head slowly. "No, you are more than that. Your blood carries something ancient, something the galaxy has forgotten, something they fear and yet desire." Her whisper grew colder. "They plan to take it from you, to strip it from your bodies and use it to build an army that cannot die." Daniel froze. Her words stabbed him with fear and confusion. Was this madness? Or was this the hidden truth behind every explosion, every battle, every life lost? "You're lying," he said, his voice trembling, but his eyes betrayed him. Deep down, he knew she was not. Liara looked at him with sorrow. "That is why I kissed you, Daniel. That is why I whispered what I did. Because I know what comes after, and I cannot stop it alone." Her words shook him like thunder. His mind replayed her whisper again, "Forgive me for what I'll do after." Now those words grew darker, sharper, heavier. What would she do after? Would she betray him again? Would she be forced to? The night wind blew cold across the ruins. Liara stepped back into the shadows, her silver eyes never leaving his. "They will come for you," she said. "When they do, you will remember my words. And then you will understand." And with that, she was gone, silent as a ghost, lost to the darkness. Daniel stood frozen, his weapon still heavy in his hand. His soldiers found him minutes later, asking what had happened, but he said nothing. How could he tell them that their war was not about victory or defeat, but about something buried deep inside themselves? As the night stretched on, Daniel sat in silence. The battlefield outside still smoked, and in the stillness of the ruined camp, he whispered to himself, "What have you done, Liara?" The kiss still burned, the whisper still chilled, and now the truth wrapped around him like a noose. This war was never just war. It was the beginning of something far darker. The next day, the camp moved slowly. Wounded soldiers groaned. Tired men tried to repair broken weapons. And the smell of smoke still hung heavy in the air. Daniel walked among them with a stone face, but inside he was not steady. Leora's words from the night before kept slicing through his thoughts. "They will use you," she had whispered. "You carry something inside you." And they wanted. He wanted to believe it was a lie, some trick to weaken him. But every time he replayed the way she looked at him, the sorrow in her eyes, the tremble in her hands, he knew it wasn't. That evening, a message came from high. Command. The hologram flickered above the command table, showing a tall human general with cold eyes. "Commander Daniel," the voice said, sharp as iron. "Tomorrow, you will move your unit into the canyon. The enemy has been sighted hiding there. You will strike before dawn." The soldiers around the table saluted, but Daniel's chest tightened. The canyon. It was a narrow place, walls high and sharp, no space to escape. His instincts screamed trap. But the general gave no room for doubt. "You are chosen for this mission, Daniel. Do not fail." End transmission. The hologram vanished, leaving silence. The other officers turned to Daniel, waiting for orders. His throat felt dry. Was this part of the plan Liara warned about? That night, Daniel could not sleep. He walked outside the camp, the stars cold above him. Every shadow felt alive. Every sound seemed louder. And then he heard it again, a soft voice behind him. "You will not survive the canyon." His hand shot to his weapon, but he already knew who it was. Liara stepped out from the darkness, her cloak torn, her silver eyes glowing faintly. Daniel's jaw clenched, anger and confusion swirling together. "You again," he hissed. "You come and go like a ghost, but all you bring is riddles. Why should I listen to you?" Liara looked at him with steady eyes. "Because tomorrow the trap will close, not just on you, but on all your men." Daniel's fists tightened. "You knew about this mission?" She nodded slowly. "They planned it long ago. They will not fight you honestly. They will surround you in the canyon, collapse the walls, and when you are broken, they will not kill you. They will take you." Her voice was ice. "Your soldiers will die, but you, they need alive." Daniel's blood froze. Her words matched her warning from before. They wanted something inside him, something inside humans. But still, doubt gnawed at him. "Why are you telling me this?" He demanded. "You lead them. Why betray your own people for us?" For a moment, Lyra's face cracked, her voice soft. "Because I am not like them anymore. Because I have seen what they plan. Because—" She hesitated, then whispered, "Because I do not want your blood on my hands." Her words stabbed him deeper than any blade. Daniel lowered his weapon slightly, but his eyes stayed sharp. "If I believe you, what do you want me to do?" Liara stepped closer, her voice urgent now. "Do not go into the canyon. Change your path. Break their plan before it begins." But Daniel shook his head, his voice bitter. "You don't understand? Orders come from high command. If I refuse, they'll call me a traitor. They'll strip me of command. My men, they trust me to lead." Lyra's eyes darkened. "And if you lead them into that canyon, they will trust you straight into death." Her words were fire, and Daniel had no answer. Before he could speak again, Liara stepped back, her cloak vanishing into the night. Her last whisper lingered like smoke. "Remember what I said. They want you alive. And once they have you, There will be no forgiveness. The dawn came fast. Daniel stood at the head of his unit, the canyon looming in the distance like the open mouth of a beast. The soldiers around him were restless, sharpening blades, adjusting armor, whispering about victory. Only Daniel's face showed the storm inside. As they entered the canyon, the silence was crushing. The walls rose high, jagged, and dark, shadows stretching like claws. Every step echoed too loud. Every bird, every insect was absent. It was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of a trap. Halfway in, Daniel's gut twisted. His instincts screamed to turn back, but he pushed forward, trying to silence Lyra's warning in his mind. And then it happened. The ground shook. A thunderous roar split the air as explosions ripped through the canyon walls. Rocks fell like giants crashing from the sky, crushing soldiers beneath them, splitting the unit apart. Screams filled the air. Dust swallowed the light. Daniel shouted orders, dragging men out of the rubble, firing blindly into the shadows above. Figures appeared on the cliffs, tall, armored, alien soldiers raining fire down on them. It was a slaughter, but worse than the fire, worse than the falling stone, was what came after. Strange machines floated down into the canyon. Black, insect-like drones with glowing red eyes. They did not kill. They hunted one by one. The drones pierced through the dust, latching on to human soldiers, scanning their bodies, dragging them screaming into the sky. Daniel's chest froze as he realized Lyra was right. This was not about winning a battle. This was about capturing humans. He fired until his rifle burned hot, shouting for his men to retreat, but the canyon walls were blocked. Collapsed by the blast, they were trapped, just as she said. And then, through the smoke, he saw it, a figure watching from the cliff above, tall, armored in silver, eyes glowing cold. Not Lyra, someone else, someone darker, a commander of her kind, watching Daniel not as an enemy, but as prey. The figure lifted a hand, and the drones turned their gaze to Daniel. Every red eye focused on him, every machine humming with hunger. Daniel's heart pounded. He finally understood. They want me, and for the first time since the war began, Daniel felt something worse than fear. He felt hunted. The canyon was burning with chaos. Smoke choked the air, fire licked the stone walls, and human soldiers screamed as drones tore them away into the sky. Daniel fought like a cornered wolf, every muscle on fire, every shot fired with desperation. But no matter how many drones he destroyed, more swarmed in, circling him like vultures. The alien commander above did not move. He stood silent, his glowing eyes fixed on Daniel, like a hunter waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Daniel pulled one of his men out of the rubble, blood covering the soldier's face. Fall back. Regroup. Daniel roared, but there was nowhere to regroup. The exits were sealed by collapsed stone. The canyon had become a tomb. Suddenly, a blast of light hit the ground near Daniel, throwing him to the dirt. The soldier he was dragging was gone, ripped into the sky by a drone's claws. Daniel's vision blurred. His ears rang, but when he tried to rise, something heavy clamped around his chest. A drone had caught him. Its black arms wrapped around him like steel chains, pulling him off the ground. Daniel thrashed, slamming his knife into its body, sparks flying. The machine shrieked, but it did not let go. It tightened its grip, carrying him upward toward the alien commander. Daniel gasped for air, rage burning hotter than the pain. No! He roared, firing his pistol into the drone's eye, shattering the lens. The drone convulsed, smoke pouring from its body, but before it died, it threw Daniel forward. He hit the stone wall hard, the world spinning. By the time he staggered to his feet, soldiers were gone, captured or crushed, and the canyon echoed with silence. Only a few screams remained in the distance, fading into nothing, and then he saw him. The alien commander stepped down from the cliff, landing with a chun. Metallic crash. He was taller than any soldier Daniel had seen, armored in silver and black, his movements smooth and terrifying. In one hand, he carried a spear that glowed with pale blue light. His face was half hidden by a mask, but his voice was clear, deep, and merciless. At last, the alien said, "The human we seek." Daniel raised his rifle, aiming straight at the alien's chest, but before he could fire, the spear whipped forward. Faster than his eyes could follow, it struck the rifle, splitting it in half like glass. Daniel stumbled back, heart racing. The alien tilted his head slightly, studying him like a scientist observing a rare creature. "You do not even understand what you are, do you?" Daniel spat blood, his fists tight. "I'm a soldier. That's all I need to be." The alien's mask glowed faintly, as if amused. "No, you are more. Your body carries the key to something greater. That is why you must come with us." Daniel's mind raced. This was what Liara warned him about. They didn't just want victory. They wanted him. The alien lifted his spear again, but before the killing strike could fall, the ground shook. A blast of blue fire ripped through the canyon wall, forcing the commander to step back from the smoke. A shadow moved fast. Daniel blinked through the dust and saw her. Liara, her cloak burned at the edges, her face fierce, her silver eyes blazing brighter than the fire. She raised a weapon unlike anything Daniel had seen, a glowing arc blade that hummed with power. The alien commander's voice rumbled low. "You again." Lyra's face was steel. "You will not have him." In a flash she lunged, clashing with the commander's spear, the sound ringing like thunder through the canyon. Daniel stumbled back, his chest heaving. He wanted to fight, but his body was weak, bruised, nearly broken. All he could do was watch as two forces from the same world fought like gods before him. The commander's strikes were heavy, each blow shaking the ground. Liara was faster, her movements sharp and precise, her blade glowing as it clashed with his spear. Sparks lit the canyon as their battle raged. Daniel's mind spun with questions. Why was she protecting him? Why fight her own commander? Every strike she made was filled with fury, but her eyes, when they flicked toward him for a second, held something else, something closer to fear. The commander's voice cut through the chaos. "You betray your own kind for him? You would throw away your bloodline for a human?" Liara snarled, her blade locking against his spear. "My kind lost its soul long ago," she hissed. "Perhaps humanity still has one worth saving." Her words shook Daniel deeper than any. Explosion. This alien, the one who kissed him before battle, the one who whispered warnings, was risking everything. Not for her people, but for him. The commander pushed harder, his strength overwhelming. With a sudden strike, he threw Liara to the ground, her blade skidding across the stone. He raised his spear high, its tip glowing with deadly energy. Daniel's chest froze. But before the spear fell, Daniel moved. He grabbed a broken shard of metal from the ground and hurled it with all his strength. It struck the commander's mask, cracking the edge. The alien staggered for a moment, his spear slicing into the stone instead of Liara. Liara seized the moment, rolling to her feet and grabbing her blade with a fierce cry. She slashed the commander's arm, sparks flying as his armor split. The alien roared, his mask flickering with light. But before he could strike again, the ground beneath them shook violently. Another explosion, this time deeper in the canyon. The walls trembled, stones crashing down. The commander looked up, calculating quickly, then back at Daniel, his voice sharp with promise. "This is not over human. You will come with me. If not today, then tomorrow." With a blast of energy, he leapt into the air, his form vanishing into the smoke and rubble. The remaining drones scattered with him, leaving the canyon broken, silent, and filled with the dead. Daniel fell to his knees, his breath Ragged, Lyara stood nearby, her chest heaving, her blade dimming as its power faded. For a moment, the only sound was the crack of falling stone. Then Daniel looked at her, anger and confusion burning in his eyes. "You saved me. Why?" Lyara did not answer at once. Her silver eyes glimmered, and when she spoke, her voice was soft, almost broken. "Because if they take you, they will break the balance between our worlds. Because if they use what's inside you, everything, human and alien alike, will fall." Daniel's blood ran cold. Her words carried a truth he did not yet understand. And worse, he realized this was only the beginning. Lyara stepped closer, her hand trembling as she touched his arm. Her whisper was barely a breath. "Forgive me, Daniel, for what I will still have to do." Her words sent ice through his veins. Because for all the danger she saved him from, for all the battles she fought by his side, her whisper told him there was another betrayal waiting, one even deeper, one that could shatter everything. And as the canyon crumbled behind them, Daniel knew the war was no longer just about survival. It was about trust. And whether he could ever trust her, the canyon was silent now, except for the soft crack of falling stone and the low hum of fire eating through broken wreckage. Daniel stood among the ruins, his body aching, his mind even worse. He had lost soldiers, men who trusted him. And yet the only reason he was still breathing was because of her Lyra. She stood just a few steps away, her cloak burned, her silver eyes dim but unbroken. Her blade, that strange alien weapon glowing faintly blue, was back at her side. Her face, carved in stone-like calm, hid a storm inside. Daniel wanted to shout at her. He wanted to demand answers. Why had she saved him? And why had she kissed him before battle? But the words froze in his throat. Every time he looked at her, something strange burned in his chest, a mixture of distrust, fury, and something softer, far more dangerous. Instead, his voice came out low and hard. "You knew they wanted me." Lyra's head lowered, her pale hair falling across her face. "Yes." His simple word cut deeper than any lie. Daniel clenched his fists. "And you didn't tell me." Her eyes lifted to his, shining like molten silver in the smoke. "If I had told you, would you have listened? Would you have trusted me?" Daniel's jaw tightened. He wanted to say no, but the truth was heavier than his anger. He might not have believed her, not after everything. And yet now, with his men gone, his rifle destroyed, and the alien commander's words still echoing in his mind, he realized she had been right all along. "They're after me," Daniel muttered, more to himself than to her. He rubbed the dirt from his hands, staring at the blood under his nails. "Not the base, not the army, me." Lyra stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. "They will not stop. Not until you are theirs." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Why?" "What's inside me?" Her lips parted, but she hesitated. For the first time, she looked almost afraid. Then, finally, she whispered, "Your blood. Your kind does not know it, but your blood carries something ancient. A code. A memory older than both our races. If they take it, it will unlock weapons that can burn entire worlds." Daniel's chest tightened, disbelief rushing through him. "That's insane." Lyra's voice sharpened. "Is it? You saw what my commander did with only a spear. Imagine what he could do with a weapon forged from the origin of your species." Her words felt heavy, like a chain wrapping around Daniel's ribs. Part of him wanted to laugh it off, to call it madness. But deep down, he remembered the way. The alien commander looked at him, not like a soldier, but like prey worth more than gold. Still, his distrust burned hotter. "Why tell me this now? After everything? After leading me on with half-truths and whispers?" Lyra's eyes shimmered. "Because if I don't, you will never forgive me for what I must do next. Those words chilled him. What you must do. Before she could answer, the night ripped open with a distant howl. Not human, not machine. Something else. Lyra's head snapped toward the sound. Her expression darkened. They're coming. Daniel grabbed what little ammo he had left. His instincts kicking in. Drones? Lyra shook her head slowly. No hunters. The two moved quickly, leaving the ruined canyon behind. Lyra guided him through narrow ravines and broken paths, her steps silent, her eyes sharp. Daniel followed, though every step twisted his thoughts tighter. Could he trust her? She had saved his life, but only after lying to him. She kissed him, but only to leave him with doubt. And now she whispered of blood and destiny, things that made no sense. That part of him wanted to put a bullet through her back, end the game before it turned darker. But another part, the part that still felt the press of her lips, the warmth of her hand against his arm, kept him silent. For now, they stopped at a narrow cave, hidden behind jagged rock. Inside, shadows stretched deep, swallowing the light. Lyra motioned for silence and entered first. Daniel followed, his knife ready. The cave smelled of earth and old air. Farther in, Lyra touched a small panel in the stone, and suddenly the wall shifted. Metal doors slid open with a whisper, revealing a hidden chamber lit by pale blue light. Daniel froze. It wasn't a cave. It was a bunker. Inside lay alien technology, strange consoles, glowing orbs floating in the air, maps that showed both Earth and star systems Daniel had never seen. This was no hiding place. This was a command center. Daniel's hand tightened around his knife. You've been planning this. Lyra turned slowly, her silver eyes glowing in the chamber light. Yes, for years. Daniel's voice cracked with anger. You used me from the beginning. She stepped closer, her gaze unflinching. No, I chose you. Do you understand the difference? Her words made his blood burn. He raised the knife, ready to strike, but her next whisper froze him. If you kill me now, they will still take you, and you will have no one left to fight for you. The silence stretched between them, sharp as the blade in his hand. Daniel's breath came hard, his muscles trembling with rage and doubt. He could end her now, end the betrayal, end the whispers. But instead, his hand dropped. The knife clattered. To the floor, Lyra's shoulders softened with relief. And then the walls trembled. The howl came again, this time closer. From the shadows of the chamber's far side, shapes began to move. Massive, crawling beasts with armored hides and glowing eyes, their mouths dripped with fire, their claws scraping the metal floor. Hunters. Daniel raised his fists, ready for death. Lyra ignited her blade, the blue glow casting wild light across her face. They found us, she said, her voice tight. The first beast lunged, its jaws wide. Daniel dove, grabbing his knife from the floor, and drove it deep into the creature's throat. It screeched, fire pouring from the wound. Before collapsing in a burning heap, another came from the side, slamming him into the wall. Daniel groaned, his ribs cracking, but before the beast could finish him, Lyra's blade cut it clean in two, sparks and blood spraying across the chamber. More poured in. The room became chaos, claws, fire, steel, and blood. Daniel fought like a man already dead, each strike powered by fury alone. Lyra fought with precision, her blade singing through the air, every movement deadly. But there were too many. For every beast they killed, two more crawled in from the shadows. Daniel's arms weakened, his knife slick with blood. His vision blurred. And just when he thought it was over, Lyra screamed. One of the beasts had her pinned, its claws pressing into her chest. Daniel's heart froze. Without thinking, he grabbed a fallen alien weapon from the floor, a strange staff humming. With blue energy, he aimed and pulled the trigger. The staff roared, blasting the beast into ash. But the energy didn't stop. It pulsed through Daniel's body, flooding his veins with burning light. His eyes widened. His skin glowed faintly, cracks of blue fire running along his arms. The chamber shook. The hunters froze. Liara stared at him in shock. "It's begun," she whispered. Daniel collapsed to his knees, his body still glowing faintly. The hunters hissed, retreating into the shadows. The chamber fell silent once more. Daniel panted, his whole body trembling, the staff clattering from his hand. What just happened to me?" Lyra's eyes glimmered, both fearful and awed. "You awakened it, the code in your blood. The thing they wanted, the thing I swore to keep from them." Daniel's breath caught. "You knew this would happen." Lyra's whisper was soft, broken. "Yes, and now you understand the price of trust." Daniel stared at her, fury and fear warring in his chest. His body still glowed faintly, the power inside him alive, dangerous, unstoppable. And in that moment, he realized something terrifying. If she betrayed him now, she wouldn't just hand him to the enemy. She would hand them a weapon strong, enough to burn the stars. The great hall of the Xyler throne room was silent. Daniel stood chained at the center, armor broken, blood marking his skin. Liara stood before him, crown of her people now resting on her head, her face pale with duty, not desire. The audience of alien warlords whispered, waiting to see what she would do. This was the moment she had whispered about before the battle. This was the moment her kiss had warned him of. Daniel's chest rose and fell, his voice steady despite the chains. "Liara, if you must do it, then do it. But remember who we are." Her eyes burned with pain. "I swore an oath to protect my people, even if it means hurting you." She raised the ceremonial blade, its edge glowing with alien light. Every warrior in the hall leaned forward, expecting. Blood. Daniel's mind raced. He remembered the kiss, the warmth of her lips, the coldness of her whisper, and in that memory he saw not betrayal, but a hidden message. Her words had been careful. "Forgive me for what I'll do after, not forgive me for betraying you." Daniel understood. She was not warning of betrayal, but of sacrifice. The blade came down fast. The crowd gasped, but instead of piercing Daniel's heart, she struck the chains. Metal shattered, sparks flew, and Daniel was free. The warlords roared in rage, but Liara turned on them. "Enough! You think I will kill the only man who fought beside me when all of you hid in shadows?" Her voice thundered across the hall. "You call yourselves rulers, yet you let fear guide you." He risked his life for our future. Daniel stood tall, side by side with her, his voice strong. "Humanity does not kneel to fear, and neither should you." The hall erupted into chaos, some warlords drawing weapons, others hesitating. The people watching from the balconies began to shout, their voices not for war, but for unity. Liara dropped the blade and clasped Daniel's hand. "If we fight together, we can break the cycle. No more slaves, no more masters, only allies." The moment stretched like fire across dry grass. Hope spread, anger cracked, fear trembled. The empire was at a turning point. A single voice from the crowd shouted, "For the human and the princess." Soon dozens followed, then hundreds. The throne room shook with the sound of rebellion. The warlords tried to silence them, but it was too late. The people had chosen. Daniel and Liara stood in the center, not as prisoner and executioner, but as leaders of something greater. She leaned close, her whisper soft but fierce. "This is what I meant, Daniel. I needed you to forgive me for the act, so you could live long enough to see the truth." Daniel's eyes met hers, and for the first time, he understood that their bond was stronger than duty, stronger than blood, stronger even than war. The kiss before battle had burned, the whisper after had chilled, but now, standing together, both wounds had become a flame that no empire could extinguish. The war for freedom had begun, and humanity's place among the stars had been sealed with fire, love, and forgiveness.